so we are told on the first day of the seventh month to remember the blowing of trumpets, to remember this very day. And so this is why we're gathered together at this mountain. And then we are going to go to an area where we can see the horizon, we can sight the new moon of the seventh month, and that is the Day of Trumpets. We are blowing the shofar from this rock all together because we are calling out to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that he will fulfill his promise, that all the land from the Euphrates to the Nile will go back into the hands of the sons of Israel, that he will fulfill his promise, and he will call his people back to his bosom that have been scattered all over the face of the earth. And that's what we are doing right here, right at this mountain on this day, and this is where it's happening. Now, many of you have grown up, if you've grown up in Orthodox homes or anywhere around the Jewish community, you've grown up calling this Rosh HaShaná, the head of the year. But even the rabbis will plainly tell you that it's really not the beginning of the year. It's the first day of the seventh month. Well, the first month is the beginning of the year, and they'll tell you, no, the beginning of the year, the Orthodox rabbinical scholars in the land of Israel will tell you that the year begins when the barley is aviv, at the sighting of the new moon. That's what it's always been. That's what it'll always be. There it is, the new moon, just below the cloud. We have two witnesses. Sound the shofar. Shalom Torah fans, this is Michael Rood. The entire crew has just left the Moon Mountain where we sighted the first sliver of the seventh new moon. It is the Day of Trumpets. And this is why we have to make this known. Because the Christian world, we've grown up in ignorance of the Feast of Trumpets. All of us. But yet it is so powerful, so significant. And many of us learned last night for the first time that because this is the only feast that occurs when, at the time you sight the first sliver of the new moon, and you can't calculate it in advance, this is the feast that every year occurs on a day and hour that no man knows. This is the feast that Yeshua in the synagogue at Capernaum on the Sabbath day was teaching about the last day and the resurrection. The last day and the resurrection. Read it over and over and over in John chapter 6. Now that we've been able to roll the lunar time clock back in time, we can see that at sunset that evening is when the first sliver of the new moon would have been sighted in Israel. That was the first day of the seventh month. He was teaching us about the prophetic significance of the Day of Trumpets. It's the resurrection. It's when the trumpet sounds and the dead are raised, the righteous are rewarded, the saints, small and great, are raised and rewarded. This is the rehearsal every year. But yet, who's celebrating it? We are! Hallelujah! Blow your shofars! Hallelujah! Ladies and gentlemen, this is the day that we sound the shofar. We remember from that mountain the shofar's blowing, and this is the day that we remember the king, because he will rule and reign upon this earth with a rod of iron. We crossed the Red Sea. We got to the base of Mount Sinai. Moses went up into the mountain and met with the Almighty. And he said, go down, gather the children of Israel together, and ask them this one question. If you will keep my commandments, I will make you a kingdom of priests. Moses came down, gathered the children of Israel, and we responded. Everything Yahweh, our Elohim, says, we promise we will do. Moses returned the words of the people to Yahweh, and he said, go down and tell the people to sanctify themselves, get themselves cleaned up. Mikvah, get their garments all washed out in white, and you also put a perimeter at the base of this mountain. Nobody touches the mountain. If an animal goes up on it, you stand back with a spear and you spear the animal. You do not let anybody touch this mountain. For 3 days we waited, and then in the morning of the third day, trumpets began sounding from the top of a mountain that nobody is on. These mountains were so loud that the rocks began to break and roll down from the hill. The earth fractured open at the sound of these trumpets, and then it says they became exceeding loud. Now, I don't know what decibel level loud is that caused the earth to break open, but now it exceeds that. The whole earth is shaking, and then the Almighty comes down in a pillar of fire. It is like a furnace incinerating the top of that mountain. And Moses then tells us, follow me. Everyone gets their white garments on and follows Moses an entire mile from the camp of Israel. Then we stop. The trumpets stopped blowing. It was silent except for the roar of that furnace. Moses shouted out to the God of the mountain, and the voice from the mountain, Moses, Moses, come up hither, come up here. And Moses walked right up into the middle of that blast furnace and disappeared. He was given further instructions, told to bring the children of Israel up closer. When he came down from the mountain, and we were standing there shaking and quaking, it was like at that moment, Moses didn't need any more endorsements on his resume. He is tight with the Almighty. He walked up into that furnace and came back down and told us what to do. We got to the base of the mountain, and then the Almighty shouted down his 10 commandments. Now, when he shouted down 10 commandments, we then told Moses, Moses, never have us go through this again. From now on, if you will go up into the mountain and speak with the Almighty, we know you're tight with him. You come back down and tell us, and whatever you tell us, we promise we'll obey, but we are afraid we're going to die of a myocardial infarction of apocalyptic proportions. We're going to have a heart attack. So Moses returned the words of the people to Yahweh, and Yahweh said, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will no longer speak to them as I did today in this flame of fire. From now on I will speak to you, and they will listen to you. They must listen to you. And he said that no one is ever allowed to add one single commandment to the commandments that I give you. No one is allowed to diminish one single commandment. If anyone does, they are a false prophet. He went on further to say that he, the Almighty, would send false prophets with the ability to do lying signs, miracles, and wonders in an attempt to deceive the people, to try their hearts. Will you keep my commandments as you promised, or will you just follow men because they can do a sideshow, a circus act? Well, that is a deception if the Almighty sends miracles to deceive you. No one adds, no one subtracts. He said, okay, I won't speak to them again like this, but I never, ever want you people to ever forget this day. From now on the first day of the 7th month, you shall have a memorial of the blowing of trumpets. You will have a memorial of the shouting from this mountain. You will never, ever forget this day. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go to the base of that mountain right now. Everyone, completely quiet. Go to the base of the mountain and stand there and listen for the sound of the shofar. Keep blowing those shofars. Keep blowing those shofars. The earth is quaking. The rocks are tearing open. The fire of the Almighty is coming down upon the mountain.